He got fired, and now he sells $69,000 a month on Amazon FBA. I'm here with FBA Andy. Welcome to the
Welcome to the Amazon Savages podcast. Hear the stories of Amazon sellers crushing it in the game and keep up with the latest strategies that are working. Sit back, relax, and remember, if you truly try and work really hard, you will make a ridiculous amount of money selling on Amazon.
But you actually have to try, and sometimes in order to try, you have to get fired from your job, which is kind of what happened with you. If you want to walk us through, exactly what happened back in February, you got laid off, and welcome to the pod, brother.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on. Excited to excited to get this thing going. Cool. I guess, do you want me to start from all the way back or just?
Well, let's start from start from all the way back, and then we'll get into the laid off part.
Cool. Yeah. So I was never like a really good student. I actually have ADHD. So kind of struggled my way through high school. Decided to not go the college route. So I actually don't have a college degree. And I was just kind of bumming around, not really having much direction in life. And then found myself working at Target, washing dishes at a restaurant. And I just woke up one day and realized, like, hey, I'm tired of being broke and sad all the time. So decided to, actually got into self-development and then got into sales. So got into real estate sales, which was 100% commission. So I was grinding 14-hour days and then washing dishes on the side just because that wasn't paying my bills. Was able to build my skill set and resume off of that. Jumped from real estate to like a tech startup, and then started jumping from there. Ended up in IBM. Then I was making the most money I've ever made in my life, and I realized, like, hey, I'm not happy. I have everything that I could ever want, but I just wasn't happy. Like, I didn't have the life that I wanted to live. So that's where I started to realize that money wasn't everything. So I started looking into like different side hustles, like entrepreneurship. Got into Amazon as a private label seller. So dove really deep in private label, actually launched 2 different brands. And from there, I moved from IBM to an Amazon consulting firm, which I helped other people launch private label brands, and then shifted to a 3PL logistics network, which I got laid off of in February. But regarding my Amazon stuff, had 2 successful brands. COVID hit, completely destroyed everything. Had to start over from scratch. So I decided to start over with OA and then work my way up to 100% wholesale, which is right now.
Yeah. So in February, were you doing online arbitrage already?
Yeah. So I was doing online arbitrage, and then my top OA VA decided to leave the company. So I was like, hey, I might as well just make a huge pivot, and then went all in on wholesale. So in February, I'd say 80% OA and then 20% wholesale.
What were your sales at in February before you quit your job, or before you got fired?
Let's see. In February, I was sitting around 40K.
Okay, 40K. And roughly what profit margin is that? 10%-ish, give or take?
A little less than 10%. I'd say 8%, because I was selling a lot of shoes and apparel. So the return rates got adjusted for that.
Gotcha. And so what changed when you almost you did double your sales at one point. You had a screenshot that was 80,000 in sales on your Instagram. So how did you get up there so fast?
It was a journey, man. Just OA and wholesale are completely different models, as I'm sure you know. But just having that mind shift that, hey, this is no longer I'm sitting behind a computer buying stuff type of game, to a communication, building relationships type of game. It was a huge mind shift, but once I made that shift, I was able to get some good accounts and start scaling from there.
And so what did your online arbitrage sourcing look like? What were you doing? What kind of things were you storefront stocking? You don't have to say the websites, but just kind of like walk us through like a high level view of what your business looked like.
Sure. Yeah. So I was doing a lot of storefront stocking because that was like the hot thing at the moment. And I was starting to do some keep a product finder. But a lot of where my sales and I guess leads came from was my network. So I actually joined a couple of coaching groups and made a lot of friends in the Amazon community.
Which ones? You can name whatever.
Yeah, so I joined Miles Flip for Miles coaching group, and then Warner's coaching group, Lightspeed.
Nice. Oh, so you joined both coaching programs?
Yeah.
Nice. And you're part of the FBA roadmap too, I imagine.
Yeah. So,
nice.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, those two they taught me so much about OA, and they're just overall solid guys. You know, they would jump on one-on-one calls with me just when I had like certain questions, and actually, you know, try to help me grow my business, which I really appreciated.
So online arbitrage to wholesale, what kind of changes did you have to make? And did Warner help you with that then? Because I know Warner's more into wholesale than Miles is. How'd you make that leap?
So I love buying coaching apparently, because I also bought Amazon Lid's course.
Amazon Lit. I just interviewed them.
Oh, nice.
I literally just interviewed them like a couple hours ago. It's funny.
Dude, Eric's a beast. But yeah, so joined their program and then learned like the basics of wholesale from them. And then I just have a couple of buddies who are in the eSellers RI group. So
yeah,
like really masterminded with them and learned as much as I could. I actually went to ASD in February. So right when I got laid off, I was like, I'm going full the fuck in. I don't know if I can curse on this thing. Can I curse?
Yeah, say what the fuck you want.
Yeah. I went full the fuck in and then booked a flight, went to Vegas,
that.
And then yeah, just opened up a bunch of accounts from there.
Awesome. And so you go to ASD and those are your first accounts you're ever opening?
Yeah. Just so I kind of jumped in like to the deep end, like the face-to-face supplier interaction versus, you know, the traditional, I'm going to email a bunch of suppliers and see what comes up. But I think that was really helpful for me just because I got used to talking to them in person with my voice.
And how big of orders are you placing and what kind of return on investment are you seeing?
Sure. It depends on the supplier, but the biggest PO that I've placed thus far was 24K in a single PO. This is mostly in the beauty category. Returns vary, but I stopped looking at ROI and I'm starting to look at margin, like profit margin, and margin is like 15% and lower.
Gotcha. So, yeah, I mean, you place those orders like right off the bat, like you go to ASD, did you place the order same day or did you wait a while?
No, so I didn't even know you could place orders at ASD. Like I was very ill prepared for that show, to be honest. I just like got some business cards created, flew over there and just started talking to people. And it wasn't until I saw my buddy place an order right there on the spot that I realized like, oh, you can actually do this. But it was already kind of too late. I came in a little late, so didn't place any orders there. But once I got home, went over through all the catalogs that were sent over, and then I had to train my team to help me go through all these catalogs. So
nice. And what does your team look like? How big of a team do you have? Is it virtual assistants? Do you have anyone in house helping you prep and stuff?
No, so it's all virtual assistants. I have 3 virtual assistants now, but that team at its highest was I think 5, maybe 6 people. And that's mostly OA. That dwindled down to 3 currently.
Okay, gotcha. And they're helping you like source then?
Yeah, so I have one VA that helps me. Hold on, let me turn this.
You're good.
I think WhatsApp is on. But yeah, so I have one VA that helps me with product or vendor analysis, vendor research. And then she helps me reach out. I give her some templates, like email templates, just to kind of start off the conversation. And then if they don't respond to the emails, then I go in and I start calling them. And then I have 2 sourcers who help me go through the catalogs.
So you have somebody just like reaching out full time right now?
Yep.
40 hours a week?
40 hours a week, yeah.
Wow. And what is your goal? Because I hear a lot of people say they reach a certain point in wholesale. I'm actually personally here. Rumors have it I still sell on Amazon. Who knows? But I'm at the point now where I'm spending like I have enough to spend with one supplier. Yeah. So I don't need more. But I want more to be able to diversify a little bit.
Yeah.
My plan moving forward is actually to connect my friends with each other and we all share suppliers. And I think that's a great way to diversify in wholesale. And I think a lot of Amazon sellers who network should be doing that because you can't spend all your money at one supplier. Like even Scott Needham, who's doing 40, 50 million a year, he doesn't even do outreach anymore. At least he said that back in 2021 at Miami Sellers Conference because he had 600 suppliers that he could order from. So he's like, what's the point in getting more I already have enough. I can't even spend the money that I want to spend with them. And so I forgot what my question was. Oh yeah, you're reaching out to a lot. What's your intention with that? Are you just looking for like better product, higher ROI, higher margin? Like what's kind of going on there?
Yeah, so early on I made the mistake of going too deep with one supplier, and it's essentially having all of your eggs in one basket, right? So they dictate what you pay. They essentially dictate how your business goes. And then I realized that once that, if one person just decides, hey, I don't want to sell to you anymore, then I don't have a business. So from then on, that kind of made me decide to really diversify my portfolio of suppliers. My goal is to find, I want to say, 10 really, really solid suppliers where I can build, really good relationships. I want to be able to, reach out to them on a Saturday just to see how they're doing, right? Like I want to have really personal connections with everyone that I'm working with, because that's how you get the best deals.
What advice would you have for people that want to quit their job? They want to quit their job and sell on Amazon full time. They're seeing this, or maybe they got fired. There's probably quite a few people watching this who searched on YouTube "fired from job. What do I do?" And this video might have popped up. What advice do you have for those people?
So just go into selling on Amazon specifically, knowing that it is going to be the toughest thing that you do in life. Like I've learned 2023 was the most pivotal year of my entire life. I've learned so much about myself, what the type of stress that I can handle, how to handle stress, how to talk to people. There's a lot of internal dialogue that goes on in your head as you're a seller. When things pop up and shit hits the fan and you just don't know what to do and you're just super frustrated, you have to be ready for that, right? Because that's what you signed up for. That's the name of the game. We're here to solve problems. We're not here to have everything just given to us. We're here to earn it. So I would say go into entrepreneurship, even if it's not on Amazon, with that mindset of I'm gonna earn every single dollar, and then just know that it's more fulfilling. I've had very high six-figure paying jobs, and I've been extremely broke. The thing that made me happiest is knowing that I have my future in my hands. I don't have to ask for permission to go on vacation. I don't have to beg for a promotion. I don't have to interview and pray that someone thinks that I'm good enough to join their team. I make the team. I dictate my future.
What do you think you need to, because you're pretty new to this, do you think you've reached the point where you're more comfortable than having a six-figure job? Or do you still think you're striving towards that? And what type of sales volume do you think you need to have to feel more comfortable than having that six-figure salary?
Sure. I think I'm not currently where I want to be. I don't think I'll ever be like comfortable, just because I feel like once you get comfortable, you start slacking. Like maybe I don't need to call the supplier. Maybe I don't need to go through this price list right now. So I never want to say that I'd be comfortable, but I think my goal is to be at, I want to say 2 million in top line revenue with a 15, maybe 17% net profit margin. Then I'll be like, okay, I'm kind of where I was before. I can start breathing again, and maybe take my foot off the gas a little bit.
Okay, so that would be 17% margin at 2 mil would be 340,000 before taxes. So you're making decent money at your six-figure paying jobs, like you said, well into the six figures.
Yeah. So I had enough in my savings to not work for like 1, maybe 2 years on my current lifestyle.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. That does change things. So you got fired, but you had savings.
Yeah,
that makes sense why you're buying all these courses.
Yeah. I had savings and I had the business already generating profit.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It can be like a negative thing having more capital. I know, obviously, that's easy for me to say, just starting off, but I used the capital as a crutch, right? Like instead of actually doing a lot of the work, I was like, oh, maybe this one person has all the answers. Let me join their course, join their coaching group, and then I'll learn that one thing. But
you feel like the problem is solved when you buy the information, but you still have to do the work.
Exactly. The secret sauce that I was looking for was just hard fucking work. And that's what I've come to realize. Like, hey, I could have done this on like less than half the budget that I did.
Gotcha. I feel like investing in yourself is never a bad thing, though.
Oh yeah, 100%.
There's a lot worse things you can do with your money.
Yeah.
So what's kind of your? Go ahead.
yeah, I actually made a lot of connections in those like other groups that I still talk to today. So, I don't
Mhm.
ever think that it was a waste, but could someone get to the level that I'm at with less? 100% yes.
Mhm. So you've been through all these coaching programs. You've obviously been through a lot in business.
Yeah.
What are a couple tips you could give to people starting out selling on Amazon in order to see just a little bit of success?
I would really invest. So, I mean, that's a great question. A lot of people try to complicate the process, but really it's just getting your reps in. Like seeing 100 million Keepa graphs, learning, clicking every single button in Keepa to see what it does, and then and yeah, just never putting yourself in a position where one bad mistake will wipe you out completely.
Mhm.
Get
Yep.
get as many reps and at bats as possible. It's better to break even or maybe take a small loss if you can learn $100 million lesson. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, don't be afraid to invest yourself. Learn Keepa, learn what makes Amazon tick, and then yeah, get as many at bats as you can.
Yep. With online arbitrage, what kind of sourcing tips would you give people? Because a lot of people like to go after clothing, Nike, stuff like that. Would you say to do that, or would you say like kind of like go your own path? Are you storefront stocking? Are you manual searching? Are you going on like looking for deals? Like, what was kind of like your bread and butter?
Sure. So when I first joined some of these coaching programs, I was super heavy into shoes and clothing. I didn't realize that, hey, I wasn't accounting for like returns. So there were some months that I was like well into the negative and I had no idea. I thought, hey, my orange bars look really good. So I'm making a crap ton of money. That wasn't the case.
Hmm.
I would give the advice of, well, okay, wait. So I was doing storefront stalking, which I don't recommend anymore, just because it got really popular, and
Hmm.
yeah, now everyone is kind of savvy to that, so that's no longer a competitive advantage. I know keep a product finder is kind of the move right now that everyone's kind of going towards, but manual sourcing, that's kind of where you'll find 100% of the great deals.
Hmm. Walk us through what that looks like. You just go into like a website like Nike.com,
Sure. Yeah.
Kohl's.com. You go to the clearance section, kind of walk us through what that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar to what you just said. Just pick, a website. Let's say Nike. Go to what I would first do is go through my email and see if there's any like coupons, any sales going
Mhm.
on, discount codes, things like that. Then I would go to the site, let's say Nike, and then go to the clearance. And I know everyone is gonna go to clearance, go to pricing, sort low to high. I didn't do that. I just started there's a feature on Seller Amp where if you click on Seller Amp, the Chrome extension, it just pulls up the listing that you're currently on, the web page that you're currently on. So I would just go through it one by one and try different filters, try sorting it different ways, and yeah, just spend my time putting in the hours.
Mhm. And what made you wanna go to wholesale? Is it like you're like, "I see more potential because you do have capital, or you're like, "I wanna be able to spend more.
Yeah,
I'm tired of all these fucking order cancellations, like,
yeah.
all this shit you have to deal with OA." Like, I just spent $10,000 and then all of a sudden, I spent $28,000 on Stanley mugs, and all of them got fucking canceled.
Oh
All of
shit.
them. And
Oh
I'm
shit.
like that's kinda like when I was like, "Fuck this," you know?
Yeah.
Um, I
Yeah.
mean, online arbitrage is great. There's a lot of little great tricks, finaglers out there who are really good at,
Yeah.
getting different email addresses and shit. But dude, it's fucking annoying. I'm not gonna lie. Online arbitrage can be fucking annoying.
Dude,
So is that
yes.
kind of what made you want to take the switch to wholesale?
Yeah. So I already made some friends who were doing wholesale at a pretty high level. And we would constantly check in with each other, like, hey, how's your sales going today? And man, there would be double my sales all like every single time we would check in. And I was
Hmm.
working like 12-hour days, like constantly,
Hmm.
sourcing products until my eyes would bleed. Um,
Hmm.
I would ask them what they're doing today. Like, oh, I just placed like a $20,000 PO. And I'm just chilling
Yeah.
for that today.
Yeah. Just chilling.
Yeah, so I'm like, damn, like that's really where the scale is at. Like, all the biggest
Yeah,
sellers in the game, like
for
Amazon,
sure.
all of those guys. They're all doing.
Yeah, we have like attendees at Miami Sellers Conference. We have attendees that, I'm like, hey, nice to meet you. Like, are you learning to sell on Amazon? Like, oh, I'm doing about 10 million a year. And I'm like, holy fucking shit. And it's always the wholesalers.
Yeah.
Always, even if they're operating at a 5% margin, 10 mil a year, it's not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I found going to wholesale, my margin increased.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah. My margin, it tripled. Doing OA, my margin was 8%. It was like maybe 13, 14% with cash back. With wholesale, I have a really good supplier, but my margin is like 30, 40%. Like, it's ridiculous. It's not typical. Yep. And I don't expect that to last forever. But I think even like at scale, you got Scott Needham, who's doing an alleged 18% gross profit margin.
Wow. Yeah. Well, and he does what? Would you say 600 million? What was the number?
Oh, he did at his peak, he was doing like 60 to 70, maybe 80 mil a year, but now he does less. He's focusing on Smart Scout and other ventures. He still does above 30 million a year at least.
Dang, must be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. I mean, I think for me, for the foreseeable future at least, I'm gonna be wholesale throughout the year, but during Q4 or like any of the peak, sale seasons, I might do a little OA here and there.
How are you replenishing inventory pretty healthily, and how are you tracking that?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say that I have like the best systems right now, especially with replenishing, but I go through at the end of every month, I take a look at what products, what ASINs do really well, and what don't, right? So then I know, okay, I need to replenish the ones that do well, and I need to let the ones who don't die. And I typically buy like 30 to 45 days of inventory per PO.
Gotcha. Do you mind if I show you something that can help you with that?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, not to toot my own horn, but I have a software called GoToLister, and something that we recently developed, or not developed, but it's a simple spreadsheet. But the spreadsheet's effective because we have the data from GoToLister. So at GoToLister is a listing software. You can create batches, submit shipments to Amazon. You can submit boxed contents. This works for wholesale products, online arbitrage products, bookselling. If it exists on Amazon, you could use our software. Theoretically, you could use it if you did private label or something. But this works for every type of reseller. And we have a really clean flow. In my opinion, it's way better than Inventory Lab. That's just me saying that. I think it looks way better. But this is an Inventory Lab replacement and Excel list. And so so this software, you were talking about not knowing your profit. It shows you your profit. It factors in what your total sales are, what you paid for the inventory, what the Amazon fees are, and it spits out what your profit is. But something cool that we've done is we've created a replen spreadsheet. So you download 2 reports. So you have your listing data that you would input here. You just copy and paste it from GoToLister. You have your sales data, which you also download from GoToLister. And then it spits out how much profit you're making per unit, and if you need to buy more. So this is the important part here, is it spits out how many more you should buy. And so if you have a hot product that you don't have a 30-day supply of, or let's just say like maybe you have 100 active at Amazon, but you're going to sell 300 over the next 30 days. Well, you're going to sell out. And then every day that you don't have that ASIN in stock, you are going to be losing money. That's just a fact. If you don't have an ASIN in stock and it was making you $200 a day and you're out of stock, every day you're out of stock, you're losing $200 in profit every single day. So GoToLister prevents you from losing money on that by showing you what items you don't currently have a 30-day supply of based on your sales data and your items listed. And those are the only 2 things you need. You need to know how much do you have in stock, items listed, and how much did you sell. And then it factors in a 30-day supply. So if you want, I can hook you up with that after the show.
Yeah.
But
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely like, I mean, I think people letting themselves go out of stock on inventory is a huge mistake. And so if you guys want that spreadsheet, all you got to do is sign up for GoToLister. We have a free 14-day trial. But if you guys email us, support@gotolister.com, if you email us the word FBA Andy, what we'll do is we'll give you a 30-day trial. So we'll extend it to double the length, and we'll send you that spreadsheet as well, that replen spreadsheet. Again, you just download those 2 reports from GoToLister, put them in there, and as long as you're using GoToLister to list and make your shipments and everything, then you're going to have accurate data, and it's going to show you how much more you need to replenish. We'll give Andy some coffee money too. So whoever sends us the email with FBA Andy, we'll make sure that Andy gets a little bit of a kickback. So
Sweet. I'm unemployed, guys. Help me out.
heck yeah. This is your first big Q4 coming up, right?
So I was in Q4. I did last year's Q4, but it was all OA.
What are you doing different this year?
Well, since I have a good amount of wholesale suppliers, I'm going to also add OA. So having two sources of products, I think, is going to really be helpful.
100%. Yeah. Are you planning on purchasing heavy this year during like with online arbitrage, like Black Friday deals, stuff like that?
Yeah. So I actually got I want to say $56,000 line of credit through Amazon. So I'm just stacking up as much capital as I can now so that I can deploy that during Q4.
Yeah. That Black Friday, Cyber Monday, man.
Yeah. The thing is,
you can literally turn your capital in like a week.
Oh yeah. The thing is, I wasn't long-term thinking. Like I bought a bunch of like products that I was like, oh man, this is gonna sell really well, not knowing that everyone else was looking at those same products. So then a lot of the products they ended up tanking. But yeah, I think it's because I
did you MF?
No, I didn't do FBM. Is that
okay? Yeah, I think that's the key. I think the key is Black Friday, Cyber Monday. You're getting 20-30% cash back, right?
Yep.
You're getting everything delivered probably Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You buy it Friday or Monday. You'll probably have it by Thursday at least. That first week of December is still a crazy month or a crazy week of the month for purchasing. So now you have one of the fastest selling months in terms of like demand, coupled with like the best month to buy inventory. So, or best week to buy inventory. So Black Friday, you buy all the inventory, and the week after you can literally sell a ton of it if you MF. That's what I did last year. And I wish I would have gone harder. And this year I'm actually going to save a lot of my capital for that week. I'm not going to, a lot of people, I always ask people on my podcast, what are you going to do for Q4? A lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to stock up on FBA inventory. Generally wholesale people do that.
Yeah.
So most of their capital is tied up going into Q4, but I want to have a lot of it free so I can I'm not even doing much online arbitrage now, but during Q4, I'm going hard on that. And I'll just maintain my wholesale stuff, Yeah.
Have you done any A to A flips?
No, not much. I used to do textbook flips back in the day, but I would buy from third-party sellers and flip on Amazon, but no, kind of sketch. I actually just interviewed Jameson too today, and he did some A to A flips that went wrong because for 4 years in a row, Amazon always went out of stock during Q4, and 1 year they didn't go out of stock, and that was the year that he bought like a ton of inventory. So I never trust Amazon stock. I mean, if Keepa says they have 977 units in stock, I don't trust it. Who knows if they're actually legit or not? But do you mess with those a little bit?
I started to.
Yeah.
Starting to learn about it now, but I was gonna leverage it during Q4 when it's the most prevalent. But yeah, that's what I was thinking of doing.
Who's teaching you that? Who's any influencers talking about that? Because most of the ones you mentioned, I know don't talk about it. Warner Miles and Amazon Lit.
I'm just going through Instagram and trying to learn as much as I can, talking to other like sellers that do it pretty heavily. So just going through my network, trying to learn as much as I can.
Yeah. What's appealing to you about that? The A to A.
I don't know. I mean, the margins are nice. The margins are nice, and it's also a trusted source. Like I've dealt with I've dealt with some shady suppliers in my recent past, and those account health issues are not fun, man. Obviously,
preaching to the choir over here, man.
Yeah, it's so frustrating, like trying to deal with Amazon seller support, and then like dealing with the suppliers swearing up and down, all my stuff's real, giving me invoices don't work. Just getting all of that and just going.
I would say online arbitrage receipts are better than wholesale invoices because wholesale, everybody thinks that whole invoices sound so legit because it's an invoice. A receipt from one of the biggest companies in America, from Kohl's or any of these companies, are the biggest companies in America, Walmart, all these. you're telling me that a receipt from one of the biggest companies in America is not going to be better in the eyes of Amazon than an invoice from like some Joe Schmo
Yep.
wholesaler that
Yep.
Amazon has no idea who's buying from a distributor, who's buying from a distributor, who's buying from the brand. You're like 3 or 4 steps away, and you think that that wholesale invoice is going to hold up.
Yeah.
Just not true.
I 100% agree. Like I've never had as many account health issues until I switched over to wholesale.
Mm-hmm.
Online arbitrage, yeah, I get an IP complaint here and there, but any inauthentic or any other like major issues, I mean, just one invoice away from getting it knocked off.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. Like I'm a wholesale distributor now because my Amazon account has been shut down. So I've been wholesaling to other Amazon sellers. And when they message me, like, is this invoice going to work? I'm like, it's going to work as much as any other invoice from any other wholesaler that Amazon doesn't know about. Of course, if Amazon knows about, then that's a different scenario. But a lot of these smaller wholesale suppliers, they don't know about. But I will say my invoices work from my company, So it's like, but it's kind of hit or miss. But I feel like definitely like if you have an invoice from a large retail store or a receipt, I think it holds up better.
Yeah, I agree. I agree for sure.
Mm-hmm. And certainly if you have an invoice from Amazon, if they don't accept that, then what's going on there?
Yeah. Yeah. I've actually found some success like trying to get these like inauthentic complaints knocked off my account. And it's really, you can cut this or not. You can keep it or if you want, but yeah, it's just constantly like submitting, like never not submit the invoice again. And just, and eventually you'll get an employee who maybe is having an off day and just automatically accepts it. So
yeah, the one thing about that though is, so dealing with a brand new Amazon account, sometimes Amazon will red restrict you, which means they don't let you request approval again after they deny you a certain amount of times. So that's like the one thing I would tell people to be careful of is like, if you just keep trying, that's what I always used to say. But my friend actually was trying to get his dad's account ungated in some product that we're selling.
Oh, you're talking about ungating. I was talking about inauthentic complaints.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. 100% keep submitting. Yeah, I don't think that same dynamic would happen with IP complaints. Worst case, you just acknowledge them, right?
Yeah. Well, I was always taught to never ever acknowledge it. Just hold on to it until it just falls off.
Yeah, it's probably. I mean, with online arbitrage and wholesale, you have invoices and receipts. But me coming from the used book world, we have fucking goodwill receipts. So what I've done and what my mentors have taught me is acknowledge it. Because if you don't, then Amazon, if you don't acknowledge it, then Amazon can say, hey, you're not even like paying attention to our requests. And usually it's from like some small book publisher who just doesn't want you on their ASIN. And it's like, who gives a shit? Like we have thousands of different books we're selling. We don't care if we can't sell your one book. So we've acknowledged, but different world.
Are you no longer doing books? Like
I still sell books. I run restrictedinventory.com, and that's a service where I sell textbooks for people at a 50-50 split. So, but that's on an account that's approved to sell textbooks. It's my partner. He's cool with the brand. The brand actually visited his warehouse and made sure he can sell textbooks. That's restrictedinventory.com, folks.
Grind hard, well done, sir, and welcome to the freaking Well Show.
There you go.
Maybe my first business that took off. We sell textbooks for people and then we split the profits. We cover shipping and then we split the shipping fees. But yeah, no, I still have that account. So even though I'm being a big baby on social media about my accounts being shut down, I still run restricted inventory, which is partly why I'm so pissed off, because it's like, it's kind of why I'm suspended is because I started that business and I had multiple accounts essentially, but they're still letting me run the business. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. But yeah. So the question was, but yes.
Yeah. I mean, just seeing, and this is how we connected, just seeing you and how you kind of handled that suspension, like that was really inspiring for me, just because I was dealing with a bunch of, I was dealing with a bunch of Amazon's typical bullshit. And, the thought of quitting Amazon did cross my mind, right? Like, I feel like it crosses everyone's mind at some point in time, especially if you're doing this at scale and you have like hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line, right? Like sometimes you wonder if it's worth it, but just seeing you kind of just push through and, that
that's all you can do. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to quit. I lived in my car a few years ago like
Yep.
5 years ago. And so I'm not scared of poverty, and I'm certainly not working a job.
Yeah.
And so my only option is to be successful. And Amazon shut me down for having multiple accounts, which means I'm resourceful because I had multiple accounts in the first place, which means I'm going to survive. I'm like a cockroach, like you try to stomp me out and I'm going to find a way. And I think a lot of Amazon sellers need to take note of what's happening, not just to me, but other people too,
I agree.
and diversify a little bit. Get a
Mhm.
personal brand, get a YouTube channel, get an Instagram. Like, look at me, I'm fine. I'm 100% fine after Amazon shut down basically all my income.
Yeah.
A lot of people think I make money, selling courses. I don't really make shit selling courses. Like my income, I was making 25 grand profit a month. OA Troll said I'm capping on that. I'm not capping. 25K profit, 100% gone. And I'm fine. Why am I fine? Because I'm selling wholesale to other Amazon sellers. I quickly adapted and, not going to get too much into it, but I got suspended for having multiple accounts. Of course I'm going to be okay. Like that was the reason why I was suspended. Like I can adapt now and push through. So having a personal brand and doing things, to diversify your income. I got go-to lister that I'm building. And my mentor Caleb Roth used to say, like when you're in this market, the Amazon market, you want to have income coming from all four corners. So you want to be selling shovels if you can. You want to be mining the gold. You want to be like, so you want to be like everywhere. Like, okay, more Amazon sellers come in the market. Boom, I got go-to lister. I'm making more money now. I got my YouTube channel. More people are watching me. People leave Amazon. People are scared. Great. More product for me. Not as many people on the Amazon listings. And so it's all about just being a good entrepreneur and being robust and paying attention and, covering your bases, and whether that's within your Amazon business, you can diversify, you can have more suppliers, you can have different techniques of getting product, but also like take a step back from your Amazon business and be like, do you have Amazon friends that if your account gets shut down, are you truly fucked? I just brought in $25,000 today because somebody bought product from me. Nice. Hopefully later this week, I'll sell another 50,000. I'm still alive, motherfuckers. I'm still here, and it's like, I'm a seller, but I'm not necessarily like an Amazon seller in this moment. But, like, I don't know. I think a lot of people need to look at that and like, you don't have to drive straight in this business. You can, there's curves to the road. You can go off-road. You can turn 4-wheel drive on. And so I think having a big, vast network helps out a ton with that. Anyway, that was a rant.
No, I mean, that's true. Like a lot of people look at Amazon as like, oh, I'm an Amazon seller. No, you're an entrepreneur. Like you need to be looking at things like
exactly,
and not just like, oh, this is, a lot of people think Amazon's the only way to make money. No, there's like a billion other ways, like exactly what you kind of mapped out. You could be a distributor if you make the connections. You can
exactly, yeah.
100 other things. Like, yeah.
I think everyone should be thinking that way. And Amazon itself is just such a sketchy kind of like landscape if you really think about it.
Yeah.
Like you can certainly make it, but there's certain skills you have to get good at. And look at the nature of it. It's one platform where everyone is trying to sell their products. Where's everyone getting their products? Everyone's getting their products from places that a lot of other people can get products from too. We're reselling. None of us have a brand on Amazon except for the private label people. So all the resellers, which is booksellers, online arbitrage sellers, and wholesalers, my whole audience, we are all competing for attention on the same platform. And then we're all competing for the same suppliers too.
Yeah.
And so then you get strange tactics like brands saying your item's counterfeit when it's really not. You get, brands trying to kick you off the listing. You get other sellers, dude, like it's crazy. You get other sellers trying to kick you off the listing. You get other sellers test buying from you. Like it becomes vicious at scale. And that's just business. It's any business. Once any business starts making a lot of money, you have a lawsuit. That's what I've realized. I've had 2 potential lawsuits now, and it's all from building a business that gets to a level that, people have realized that they can use the government, they can use the law to like scare you away, you know? And so you get cease and desist letters. Like Amazon becomes a very violent place for sellers. And I think it's fascinating, and it's just an expression of business. It's not unique to Amazon. It's business in general. Business does get sketchy at scale. But Amazon is certainly a unique place for sure. And I think we should all be trying to build brands outside of it. We got FBA Andy here,
Yep.
which is, you've developed a personal brand for yourself. And I noticed you watched my story the other day and I saw that you had FBA in your name and I was like, let me go check them out. And then who knows, this relationship here could, save you one day potentially, or save me. Who knows? Now we have each other as outside of just one ASIN on Amazon, one supplier.
Yep.
If the supply chain gets screwed, then you're screwed. Or if the ASIN gets taken down, then you're screwed. Now you kind of build past that by having connections. So I think Amazon sellers can really protect themselves at scale by having a network of sellers. And then you don't even need Amazon anymore.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. And any problem that you run into Amazon, someone else has run into it before. So there's unlimited people who can help you. Like if your account's suspended, I'm sure there's someone who can help you or has a similar story. There's plenty of people.
Yeah, I will say I think I've kind of hit the end of the road though, because nobody's been in this exact position that I've been in.
Yeah.
I even talked to Amazon Lit, and this is when I actually got in a slight depression when I was in Costa Rica, because I talked to Amazon Lit when my account got shut down, and he was like, "Yeah, man, you might be fucked."
Oh my God.
And I was just like, "Fuck!" And he was like, "Try Seller Basics." And so Seller Basics is like, and Riverbend quit on me. Riverbend was just like, we're done. Riverbend Consulting.
Oh, shit, yeah.
And then I called Seller Basics, and Seller Basics was like, yeah, you're probably screwed. So when that happened, I was like, oh my God. But I think I am kind of like in a unique position. I'm sure somebody else has been through it worse, and I'm sure they've come out okay, but nobody that I know at least. So
there's something that I can
just interesting.
Yeah, there's something I can recommend offline, but that's cool.
I'm working with I will say I'm working with Happy Amazon Seller right now, and he's been amazing. So he's making really detailed plan of actions, and they actually kind of make sense logically. Whereas Riverbend, I will say, like, they just basically they didn't try very hard, and they took my plan of actions and just used them. So either I'm smart as fuck and they realize that and they use my plan of actions, or they're just lazy. So either way, I don't know.
That's interesting. I mean, you would think that they would work a little bit harder just because you do have presence. And this
I know, right? Yeah. And so I've heard a lot of good things about them, but they did not help me.
I actually use them for reconciliation. Like whenever there was inventory that was lost in shipments and stuff, they were really great at first, and then out of nowhere they just stopped being great. So I actually moved to Seller. I forget what it's called, Seller something. Yeah,
Seller Basics probably.
Yeah,
I'll say this and this is probably going to be helpful for people getting their accounts reinstated. What Riverbend did, you can all kind of do yourself. So first of all, create a plan of action. Actually, their plan of action kind of sucked, but create a plan of action that has a root cause, preventative measures, and corrective measures. And then you can email. This is what they did. So you email jbezos@amazon.com. That's the first thing they do. And then you can email all the executives. So just Google the emails of the top executives. You got Andy Jassy, you got Dharmesh Mehta, you got all those guys. So they email those people 1 week apart. Then they file a Better Business Bureau complaint, and then they quit. So you can kind of do all those things yourself. Of course, like you don't want to. And another thing they told me, which I'm not sure if it's true or not, but I'm sure it's true to an extent. The more plan of actions you submit, the more the deeper you dig yourself in a hole, because the people on the Amazon performance team just see that you submitted 20 plan of actions and they all got rejected. So therefore, the 21st person that looks at it is going to be like, oh, all the other 20 were rejected, therefore I'm going to reject this one too. And eventually they say you get to a point where you can't even submit a plan of action anymore, which I haven't reached that, surprisingly. I've submitted over 35 plan of actions, and they have not cut me off completely yet, which is why I still have faith. But I think kind of knowing that's kind of Riverbend's like standard operating procedure. And I'm sure it works for a lot of people, but if you do want to take things in your own hands, you could do that too.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, whatever works, I guess, but I guess it didn't work in this case.
Yeah. I think that they legally have to respond with the Better Business Bureau complaint. So that's kind of, and another pro tip, you can, at them on social media. They responded on LinkedIn. You could at them on Twitter. I didn't get a response on Instagram, but
what were they saying to you? I mean, Did they actually look into your case, or was it kind of just like, hey,
I
kid,
think they
look?
looked at the case and like for 5 minutes and we're just like, oh, this guy has multiple accounts. And I did have a textbook counterfeit complaint, which I go into detail in my other videos.
Yeah.
And accidentally sold a counterfeit textbook multiple times because there's a lot of counterfeit textbooks in the used book market. When you're selling used books, you accidentally sell counterfeit books. Happens sometimes.
Mhm.
And I think they just look at my case and they're like, oh, this is a person who has sold counterfeit books on multiple accounts. Therefore, he's a scammer. He's trying to steal people's identities, blah, blah, blah. And I don't think anyone's really actually looking at it. I think I'll get my account back one day once somebody with a brain looks at it. But until then, I just keep doing me.
That's all you can do, brother. Just keep moving forward.
100%. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. They can follow you at FBA Andy on Instagram. You got a YouTube?
No, not currently.
Okay. Well, FBA Andy on Instagram. Go give him a follow, guys. And thanks so much for coming on, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate you.